Hello and welcome to another edition of Santos on Sports, along with my good friend and partner, Mr. Chris Santos. I am Paul Santos. I got to tell you, you're going to get a grumpy Paul Santos today. I did not like what I saw on Sunday. That was like watching grass grow. I want to ask Chris, what the heck happened? But first, let's thank our sponsor, Scotty's Pub, 202 Pleasant Street in Fall River, Citywide Glass, 3 locations, Dartmouth, Fall River, and Taunton, Lakeville Athletic Club, 325 Bedford Street in Lakeville, and Attorney John Seed, who I ran into a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. Great guy, 156 8th Street in New Bedford, and you can catch him at johnseedlaw.com. Well, before I go into a rant, I want to go to the X's and O's guy over here, my good friend Chris Santos. I'm watching that game, and I don't like what I see, and I continue to not like what I see. Offense, defense, special teams, complimentary football. What a dud. What a dud. I thought they were inept in all phases of the game, except maybe a little while there in the second quarter. But the rest of the time, it was just falling flat on their faces. What happened?
Well, I mean, you're not getting blown out in game number one, and this is your first game. It's the home opener. It's not like you lost 56-7. You lost by 7 points, 20-13.
I'm asking for too much?
No, but I think you're asking for what has gotten better from last year's team that you wanted to see right out of the gate. And so you're asking for better play calling. You're asking for that offensive line to open more holes and have a better run game, better protection so Drake May can have a better passing game. You got some new people in certain spots from Vrabel, from Tennessee in the defense. You got offense with Josh McDaniels now with Diggs and Henderson in the backfield. So as a fan, I can see what you're looking for to get excited about in game number one that should be better than what you had the previous year. I understand that. But I also understand you're asking for a young man who had 26 games of college. And then you threw him to the Wolves last year. You saw what happened there. And now you come out in game number one here. To me, he looked very scared and he looked very timid, I thought, Paul, because as soon as he felt an ounce of pressure, he was looking to bail. He was looking to get out. He was looking to run, head down, and then I'll see what happens after that. This is a guy that's going to have to take his lumps and stay in the pocket a little bit longer and have something, and at the same time, trust your offensive line to make that protection. And I thought he took off at times he shouldn't have. He missed some open plays. He did get hit sometimes, overthrew a couple of guys, made some good plays. 46 times, 30 for 46. That's a lot. A lot of check downs, which you and me, Paul, want to see more of that down the field kind of look that you're seeing from some of these other young quarterbacks getting out there with their offense. So I thought it was a very slow, progressive trying to finally get to what you want. And they really didn't take the reins off in week number one, that's for sure. So they definitely need some help with that, along with Henderson, along with obviously Stevenson to run the football, to get more yardage than what they did there. And then, you want to get something explosive from Diggs or some big play down the field, explosive plays like Geno Smith got some explosive plays. You want to see that from May. You want to see that from the team. That's on the offensive side of the ball. That's what I saw. Tell me if you saw the same.
Well, I was disappointed because before we break down the defense, the special teams, and the coaching, just looking at the quarterbacks, and again, the quarterbacks get more credit than they deserve. They get more blame when the things aren't going well than they deserve.
Yep.
So I think this, having this quarterback here, Drake May, with the new offensive coordinator, a whole new scheme, a whole new team, yeah, he didn't look comfortable at all. And the thing that was bothering me is, I have the red zone, so I put on the red zone, the bewitching hour at 4 o'clock, and then the later games, and I'm watching J.J. McCarthy sling the ball down the field in the clutch. I saw Michael Penix Jr. Now, I know he lost his game, but he marched him down the field in the clutch, made a great play where he reached forward and got that touchdown and ran the ball, and I'm like, wow, look at that, Jaden Daniels, of course, one of my favorites, won another game. Bo Nix looked pretty good in his game, right? So I'm looking around the league and I'm seeing these other quarterbacks. I'm thinking, Jesus, how come all these guys are at least showing me something, or our quarterback isn't showing us anything? Now, again, I don't want to put all the blame on him. It's still early. We want to give him a chance. I don't want to be on his back, but he's really only won one game in his whole career, and he didn't look comfortable. Certainly when the pressure was on in the second half, as we got into the fourth quarter, he didn't look comfortable. Like, why are I seeing at least some flashes of something that I'm seeing out of these other young quarterbacks?
Yeah, so again, I don't think it's specifically just him. I think it's a combination of the protection that he's going to need to have a little bit more to stay longer in the pocket to get the right read. To challenge himself, he's going to have to take a little bit more, more deeper passes, some deeper routes, and get some guys. Whether they're open, I'm not sure. I don't have the whole game field and the film afterwards to really check like these guys do. I'm only like you, Paul, seeing what I see from the TV point of view. So I can't tell if they're not open. Did he miss somebody? There's different things like that go on. But this is not a one-man crew. And you've just said it, and I agree with you. I think this is a combination of everybody working together, 11 guys with Josh McDaniels, trying to now, remember, Paul, put in Josh's system compared to what the system was last year. So they got to make that change as well, too, with a new group of people up front and a new group of receivers and even another scat back coming out with Henderson, who's a rookie. So, I'm optimistic to say I think they will get better. It's 1 week. I get it. It's a lot of hype. It's the New England Patriots. You want to have that big success right out of the gate, coming back with two of the best that you've had with Vrabel and McDaniels running the show. So I can see where the tension from Paul Santos is really steaming out of your ears. I get that.
Well,
I mean, listen, look at it from my point of view. My team scored 21 points at the half. I was feeling very good about the Dallas Cowboys.
yeah.
And what happened in the second half? Not one team could score a point. I mean, so what happened from the first half to the second half where adjustments were made? Lamb dropped some balls. There's a lot that goes into it, and you sit back as a fan, but you also sit back with a guy that knows football like myself, I feel, and some others who have called in and say, this is what's going wrong. This is what's happening. And that's what I saw from the New England Patriots, a little bit of everything on the offensive side of the ball. I think it will get better. I think they will continue to adjust, and you will see better results coming up in the next few games.
All right, if you'd like to join the discussion, please do at 774-218-3393. I know some of our regular callers are not available at this hour. We're doing it a little bit earlier because of Chris and my schedules, but we want to try to get the show back in a regular kind of a format here. So if you have a chance to type something in, or even if you watch it afterward, you type something in, or give us a call again at 774-218-3393. I got to tell you, talk about the quarterback, our quarterback, Drake May being uncomfortable. I mean, that first pass of the game, he just took the ball. It was like a 10-yard pass, and he threw the ball over the head of the intended receiver. You know what I mean? That was pretty bad. Okay, but then putting that aside for a second, I noticed that they've told him not to run. And I think that's good. I do not want him to get creamed like he did last year. Last year, he took some big hits. And I'm thinking the last thing we want to do is have Drake May get knocked out of the game. I think he went into the concussion protocol one time. So they went from, hey, you're running too much, to now you're not going to run at all. I mean, some of these quarterbacks, like, Bo Nix had that great touchdown. Or was it Penix? Yeah, it was Penix. He reached over and kept his arm up and reached over, got the touchdown. Josh Allen, he's an unbelievable passer. But then when he has a chance to run the ball for the first down, he'll run the ball for the first down, get out of bounds, go down. I mean, it almost looks like the offensive coordinator, McDaniels, is trying to turn this into the Tom Brady offense. Well, isn't the Tom Brady offense, first of all, he was the greatest of all time, so he could do it. But secondly, isn't running the ball now with Lamar Jackson and, some of these quarterbacks we have now, running is more part of the game in the modern game, is it not?
Well, the RPO, the run pass option, is one situation. I think the thing with May is you're trying to avoid the injury.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you cannot run the football as a quarterback. You can still do that. You have to know when to take off. You have to know how to get out of bounds. You have to know how to slide head first. Bottom first, not head first. And you have to do the right things at the right time. Now, I watched Penix do it. Yes, I saw Caleb Williams do it. I did see Nix do it. I see Daniels do it. Now, Allen's a different breed because the guy's 6'4", 225 pounds. That's a whole different ball. He'll put his shoulder down to run into you. So it depends on what kind of person that you have. But to completely sit there and say we don't want him running, no, I don't see that at all. I think there are times, yes, you have to take what's given to you, which means I got to stretch the field a little bit more, which brings people back down, which brings linebackers back down. You get more people down there, and then you can take off and get some more, get out of bounds, slide when you have to, get down so you don't take the big hit. Last year, it was about taking the big hit, Paul. I thought he took too many. And
I do too.
That's the problem that you don't want to see this year. But do not sit there and tell me a professional quarterback should not run. I totally disagree with anybody who says that.
All right, 774-218-3393. If you'd like to join the discussion, Santos on Sports, Paul and Chris on a beautiful sunny September afternoon here. Just trying to unpack what happened with the Patriots. We've talked a little bit about the offense and a quarterback and so forth. What about that defense? I saw, Geno Smith march down the field and basically shred the defense. I know they only gave up 20 points, but in key moments, big chunks of yardage. That first down that he threw on the 3rd and 20 toward the end of the game, that was just god awful. And I'm thinking to myself, right, I ended up watching, and I'm sure you did too, the game between Buffalo and Baltimore, right? What a battle of heavyweights there. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen just slugging it out as they went into the 3rd and 4th quarter, and a big comeback for Buffalo. And I'm thinking to myself, can you imagine what Josh Allen is going to be able to do to this defense the way that it is now? They're just going to steamroll right over them. They're going to shred them like a piece of paper, aren't they? That's what I see. I'm looking at these other games, and I'm comparing what I see in these other games to what I see with the Patriots. It almost looks like a major league game and a minor league game.
Yeah,
overstated.
Well, look at what Baltimore did and look what Buffalo did to give up a lot of points for both defenses. And if you're a Buffalo fan, you took off, you were leaving thinking this game's over. And again, turnovers happen, special teams happens. And then the next thing you know, you're right back in it. So for the Patriots to give up that long drive early and get Trey Tucker to get that touchdown from Geno Smith, yeah, that was kind of devastating to a point of, what happened specifically on that play for him to be that open, making a good throw, good catch, and all that. But I thought they stopped Genty pretty decently. They kind of kept him in check. They got some new faces too. Harold Landry had a couple of sacks. He had a pretty decent game. They're going to build, and that's supposed to be Vrabel's strength to get in there. So, yeah, they might have been, as you said, shredded for a possession or two. I wouldn't say it was completely for the whole game getting shredded all over the place. I wouldn't say that. So I think there are times that they can be better and they will be better. And corners are corners. You got a guy hurt. He's not playing. So, next guy's got to step up and make the next play. But I think Vrabel will have that, back going again. Just game one. I'm not ready to squash them yet. Let's see what it rolls like when they go down to Miami in week 2, who had an awful week 1. So if anything favors the Patriots, it's how bad Miami played in that first one. Let's see if that continues to happen for them, because there was dissension all over the place, all over that field with one another, with the coaching staff. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out for them if they turn it around, or the Patriots continue to put some fuel on that fire and really make them disgruntled, throw some more different looks at them, come with some blitzes, get too uncomfortable, things like that. So I wouldn't say shredded, Paul, maybe on a specific possession, but not as much during the entire game. 20 points isn't that bad in today's pro football game where there's just so much passing going on and
right.
A lot of things happen. So that's not too bad. I'm not worried about that too much. You know, and then you got penalties, you got offsides. Campbell made a couple there in the 3rd and the 4th. false starts, that hurts. That's another part of the game that comes in. And then obviously special teams and what goes on that to try to
Missed
win
the
the
field goal, which was real important.
yeah, and all that, and the field position, and take points off the board. So all those things come together, and then that's what you're hoping that turns around this year for New England, because a lot of that happened last year.
I don't remember exactly what it was. It might have been like a 3rd and 20 in the fourth quarter. We're just trying to get the ball back, and maybe it was a one-possession game. I'd have to go back and look at it, whatever. And the quarterback throws a bomb, and we basically have the cornerback one-on-one. Like why would that happen? Why would you not defend against the long pass and try to keep it underneath? As you get the ball back, it just seemed like they really blew it a number of times where they could have got the ball back.
Yeah, it depends on what the call was. Were they calling blitz there? Was a safety coming in?
Right.
Were they in zone? Were they in man-to-man? Nickelbacks were in. I don't know the coverage at the specific time.
Did you see anything that bothered you in those situations? Did you think
what bothers me
what are you doing that for?
Oh, yeah. So 3rd and 20, to me, is double safety out wide, and you just keep everything underneath.
Right.
But, again, you're trying to create havoc to take the ball away because you're down in the game and you're trying to find a way to get a pick. You're trying to find a way to sack a quarterback and he loses the ball. You're trying to make, as soon as the guy touches it, big hit or punch the ball out. There's a lot of things that you're trying to create. So in that particular thing, the word is don't get beat deep. That's what you're hoping you don't do. So, again, I don't know specifically all the ins and outs of that particular play, what they were thinking and what they called. So it's tough to say.
All right, 774-218-3393. Give us a call if you're a regular. I know a couple of the regulars are unavailable today. If you are a new listener or a new watcher, jump right in there, make a comment, and give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. I know a lot of people out in the community say they'll listen, but they don't usually call. Well, now's your time because you have an opportunity to jump in.
You can type in, too, if you want.
Yes, you can type in. Now, you mentioned Miami. I actually made some notes today. I came prepared. Indianapolis beat Miami. Indianapolis did 33-8, and Miami had a terrible game, and Mike McDaniels is all over the place, and he's talking gibberish in the post-game show. And you and I had the Patriots 1-1 as we went game by game through the season. We had a win against the Raiders and a loss against Miami. Now we're looking at it like, gee, Miami looks like they're down for the count. Maybe the Patriots can go to Miami. They usually have trouble in Miami, but, you can take that and throw that out. I don't think what happened 10 years ago with Tom Brady or whatever really applies to today. I know it's tough to go down there, the heat and so forth, but, maybe the Patriots can go back if they could just get that win and get back to 1-1. I mean, you got Pittsburgh right after that. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's rejuvenated. So if you can't go down there and beat Miami and you can't take care of Pittsburgh, you could start the season at 0-3. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but, maybe the Patriots can go down there and knock them off in Miami. What do you think?
Well, you're going to need a game plan that has all phases of the ball. You need to run. You need to protect. You need to throw short. You need to throw down the field. I mean, you look at stats. Henderson, 5 for 27 in running. Stevenson, 7 for 15. May, 4 for 11. So you look at that going, that's just not going to do it enough in the run game. You need to have more production out of that. So, Bout came in 6 for 103. Diggs was 6 for 57. Henderson was more of a check down, 6 for 24. Henry had 4 for 66. So, okay, I can see, him spreading the ball out to different people. I still like to see that big explosive play to get something going. That's always nice to have. Get one of those down there. Maybe get a turnover. Maybe get a special teams play, keep getting your field goals, making them. All that kind of stuff has to all gel and work together to really go down on the road in a division game to say, hey, we can go down there and knock off Miami. So, they have some issues. They have some problems right now. McDaniels was all over the media, talking about this guy and that guy and Hill and Waddle and Ashe and all the people that they have that were really struggling, not getting the ball, and Tua's turning it over again. You think he's still concussed and he's not where he's supposed to be. There's a lot to say down there that's not going in the direction. So if you're the Patriots, take advantage of it. Jump on them right away. Get going. Make them uncomfortable. Make them hate each other and keep thinking in that mode. So I hope that's bulletin board talk for Vrabel and his team and say, hey, listen, we got to get out there. We got to score early. We got to make them chase. And when they stop making mistakes, let them self-destruct. That's what I would like to see out of New England.
Hey, I thought bout had a great game. He had a real stretch there where he was making one reception after another.
Mm-hmm.
And Hunter Henry, he's certainly somebody that you can use out there in the toolbox. He made some nice catches. But again, they seem to be some adjustments because, in I think the second quarter, the Patriots were moving the ball down the field a number of times. I was like, wow, this is looking pretty good. I mean, it wasn't long passes, but, they get the 10, 15-yard gain. And then it looked like something happened. I don't know if there were some adjustments. Did you notice some adjustments in the second half that the Raiders made it so difficult for the Patriots offense after that? Because they couldn't do anything in the second half.
Well, I thought more, remember, when you're behind, Paul, sometimes you abandon the running game. And so now what do as a defensive coordinator? You find a way to send more pressure to get May, rattled, or you come down into nickels and now you have better coverage on some of these other ones, knowing that the Patriots have not made big plays. They've only made 10 to 15 yards, and that might be not even catching the ball 10 or 15. You might be catching it 4 or 6 and gaining 10 and 15, and you're keeping everything underneath. So, yeah, they probably made some adjustments that they needed to and said, well, if Boute's the guy, all right, I'm going to take this guy off him, and I'm going to put my best guy on him. And, you start making some changes. It becomes a chess match. So if they did all that, then that's what they're supposed to do.
All right. Well, the Patriots off to a difficult start. Game 2 coming up this week at Miami. I got to tell you, I got the Red Zone. I don't know how many followers have the Red Zone. And, I was telling Chris, I was joking around, maybe I should cancel it in the off season. I don't know if I pay for it the whole year. I kind of forget that I have it. But, I enjoy it, the bewitching hour and all that. Well, the guy that hosts the thing, oh, man, he just loved it this week. There was 4 boxes going at the same time. And I know Chris has separate TVs anyway, but I got the Red Zone up there. And the guy is like, I'm going to the quad box, and look what's going on over here, look what's going on over there. And there were just some great games all across the league. And then, of course, you follow that up with the Buffalo against Baltimore, 41-40. What an unbelievable game that was. The one with J.J. McCarthy came back at the end, won the game, So I'm looking around the league, and I'm like, wow, this NFL is putting out a great product. And I see a lot of parity. Do you see more parity this year? I know it's only 1 week, but a lot of these teams that you think, well, this team's a lot better than that team, and, the game's coming right down to the end.
Yeah, and I think I have to go game by game on that. I mean, you can look at like Cleveland and Cincinnati, division rival. They're always, banging heads with one another. Wasn't really an explosive game between Burrow and Flacco, so there wasn't much going on there. Miami laid a stinker. So, yeah, there are some games like that. But then again, you can turn it around and say, well, there's some real explosive games. You look at the Tampa-Atlanta game, thought that was a thriller right there. I thought Detroit laid an egg and Green Bay really took over in that one too. But then you look at what Chicago and Minnesota had in a great game there. Obviously, Baltimore and Buffalo, what they produced out. So, yeah, you're going to have those weeks where, it might be a good matchup for you and somebody struggles with that. And some other ones like a black and blue division and it's just hard-nosed and it's rugged and it's defense and it's tough and it's hard to score. Jets in Pittsburgh, another one. And, of course, what does the NFL society want? They want points. They want to see scoring. They want to see that kind of energy and action from their team. So it sells more tickets, and they'll be there next week watching on. So, for me, it's which game is on. So New England's on. Yeah, they'll be on the big TV. And then on one side, that will be the other game. And then the other side will be the Red Zone. So, yeah, is my head spinning looking all around? Absolutely. But when it's a commercial in one, then you focus on another. Then when they come back, if it's something that this is your game, it's a great game, I'll just focus on that. And then if you're a fantasy football fan and you're a lover with that, you want the Red Zone because it's every scoring play. And you want to know if it's your guy who's scoring. So they go, let's go to Indianapolis. And when you go to that, you're like, oh, let's see what this guy did. And hopefully it was your guy, Jonathan Taylor, who scored. So it's a little bit of what the NFL has packaged. It's a little bit of something that they've talked about for a long time, how to make this game more enjoyable to the fans. And the product's pretty good right now. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about, we talk about quarterbacks, they're aging and stuff like that. And of course, we New England fans, we love the fact that the GOAT, the greatest of all time, played until 44 and was still effective, based on the way the league rules are. I mean, he never ran the ball. He was just like a quarterback. He always said how he had the answer to the test because he could read any defense at any time. Everything they threw at him, he kind of knew what to do after many, many years of studying it. Okay, good for him. Well, how about Aaron Rodgers into his early 40s? And he had a hard time against the New York Jets. Of course, he had the injury 2 years ago, but then last year he kind of stunk out the place. And then this year he comes out and has a very good game for Pittsburgh. And I'm not a big fan of Rodgers, kind of a little bit of a pill. He made a wisecrack about how he enjoyed so much beating the New York Jets. He always has a wise guy thing to say. To me, he's no Tom Brady. I think we already know that. But to play at the age of 44, that says something. And maybe he's going to be able to rejuvenate Pittsburgh because, Pittsburgh, well-coached team, always a couple games over 500, always battling for a playoff spot. And now you add Aaron Rodgers to that. I mean, maybe they're a team that's going to have to be reckoned with in the AFC.
And you're talking about a guy who's come back from a major injury. That's not easy at that age, from a ruptured Achilles, to refocus and get back on that. Now, again, it was the Jets, number one. Number two, as he said, I wanted to stick it to every Jet and every person I could find that was a Jet fan, and administrators and head coaches and general managers and all that, and really give them the shazing from the back. So he did what he wanted to do. Mike Tomlin reaches the playoffs, seems to be every year. So that he always has his team well prepared as a coach. So he's going to get you there. And, he's looking for someone to lead them and try to get them back. So, we know Aaron's got an arm. We know he can read the defensives. It's just a matter of if he can withstand the hits, if he can stand being in the pocket. Can he get to the sidelines? Can he get away anymore? Things like that. So it's a good showing for him for week one. Let's see if it continues. You remember last year, Paul, was it like the second play? And the next thing you know, he was down and out, and
right.
And he was hurt. So, the Jets said, we don't trust you. We don't care for you anymore. And so they got rid of him. And his goal was to get them back. And he got him back in week number one.
Well, here's something that's interesting. We're going to circle into the baseball, if you don't mind, right? I'm looking at the Red Sox. The Red Sox, I think, are playing right now, as a matter of fact. The Red Sox just kind of keep chugging along. They've had these injuries to the young players. That's so unfortunate. I happened to be watching it, when he twisted his back, the lower back, only 21 years old. I'm thinking, gee, how can you jar your back and have this oblique injury at the age of 21? We just, he looks so good and he looks so comfortable. Mm-hmm. And so, that was too bad. But, Crochet, he had a couple of bad outings, had a great game the other day. And how about Chapman? He is just nasty. I love watching him pitching the ninth inning. So, the Red Sox are chugging along. Right now, it looks like they're going to make at least a wild card. So I think this has been a fascinating year and an exciting year to watch this young team kind of gel.
And once again, for those fans who cursed Alex Cora at the beginning of the year when things were not the way they wanted it, they say Cora doesn't know how to coach. And so now all of a sudden they have a chance to be in the wild card, as you said, and hopefully preparing themselves for that adventure. And be healthy by then. If Anthony can come back by that time, if Abreu gets back at that time, you get 2 out of 3 game series with someone. You get some good pitching from Crochet. You get some of these other guys who are all going to be available for the bullpen, and you just see how it flows. But let's give Cora a little credit because he's mixed some people in there. He's got some youngsters. He's had to change lineups. He's had to change defensively. He's had to do a lot of things to keep this team lively in the hunt. And right now they're at least in the wild card frame, tied with the Yankees.
I'll tell you, the general manager was getting ripped, just maybe a month ago, 6 weeks ago. And now all of a sudden everything's kind of quiet. They're not ripping anybody because, maybe a couple of years ago, right? I'm just thinking back a couple of years ago at the trade deadline, how come you're not trading, doing this and doing that? Well, maybe some of these prospects that are now in your lineup and are the future of the Red Sox, maybe it was smart that they held on to those guys.
Well, remember, you made the Devers move, and when you made that move, that was like almost the trade deadline kind of big move that everybody wanted you to do. So they kind of said, hey, we feel that this was really bothering us. This particular situation was hurting the team. And, they went out and thought what was best. And now it's the young kids doing their thing. How about the catch Zidane made the other night out in center field? Tremendous play defensively. They've had some errors. I still think they strike out a lot in key situations with men on base. That will need to, be fixed to get them going. They were making some errors there at the beginning as well. So if they can find a way to gel and put it all together toward the end of the dog days of summer and get ready for October playoff baseball, hey, who knows? You've got a stud pitcher. I know recently it's been a little shaky for him, but that's why you went and get him to be your number one man and at least take game one, and then people chase you. So let's hope they get to that spot and say, let's throw our big ace out there, and then let's fight for him.
Well, Chris Santos is a Baltimore Orioles fan since he was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a fan of YouTube because, if you're busy, sometimes you go on YouTube and you can get like a condensed version of a game. So what pops up on my feed is the title said something like almost no-hitter walk-off. So I'm like, almost no-hitter walk-off? What the heck is this, right? So I click on it, and it plays the ninth inning of this game between the Los Angeles Dodgers and Baltimore. The kid for Baltimore, he gets 2 outs in the ninth inning. I think the game's
the kid from the Dodgers had 2 outs.
From the Dodgers, yes. 2 outs in the ninth inning.
Yes.
And they get a hit, break up the no-hitter.
Yep.
And then the next guy gets a hit. And then they come and they take him out. They put another guy in. One thing leads to another. Bing, bang, boom. And the Orioles have a walk-off win in the bottom of the ninth. And then I think a couple of games later, the Dodgers almost threw another no-hitter that got broken up in the ninth inning. But that game against the Orioles, I'm like, oh, man, Chris Santos has to know about this, and he must have loved every second of it.
Yeah, Holiday started it with the home run. And then just, it was one of those pitches from Yamamoto that maybe got away from him, and it was 2 outs in the ninth, and he took it out. And then you're like, okay, well, you're still, 2 runs up. And then,
what a great game.
Yeah, and they started to, get a couple of hits, and then they got nervous, and they brought the bullpen, and we took advantage of it and ended up winning the game. I wish it was in more of a situation for us where, we're heading toward the playoffs. That would be a good motivation to say, listen, we can come back. If we can do it here, we can do it in any game. That would be nice. But, other people can look at it too and say, you're never out of it in baseball until the final out. So you just keep playing and you just keep swinging, playing defense and pitching, and you just do what you can do.
I got to tell you, I have this thing, right? When I go to a game, right? You got to pay good money to go to a game. Unless there's a real pressing need to leave the game, I almost never leave any game for any reason.
Yeah.
And it drives the people, if it's my wife or whoever, you say, yeah, well, no, but look, I look at it this way. Suppose one of the greatest comebacks in history happens in this game. Let's say it's 9-1 in the ninth inning, and they're like, one of the greatest comebacks happens, and I'm here, right? And I miss it. Now look at what happened with Buffalo, and actually it wasn't that much of a situation, but they were down a couple of scores with only, a short time left. And in fact, when they interviewed Josh Allen after the game, he's like, well, a lot of people left. You got to have some faith in us. He made like a little joke about it. But I would have never left that game. And even though it was Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, whatever it was, I'm like, I'm not shutting this off. I mean, all you need is like a fumble, which there was a fumble. And then you get the ball back, and then it's 3 and out, and then you get the ball back again. Next thing you know, Buffalo wins the game. So, I mean, I'm not turning that off. Anything can happen at any time, especially in baseball where there's no time.
No, and for Bills Mafia fans, it was supposed to be this great fan base, and they talk about how dedicated they are. I thought it was a little bit of slap in the face. And I'm happy for Josh Allen to say, hey,
right,
stick around. We're not that bad, and we're pretty good. And it was Marv Levy night there, and they showed him a lot about Marv Levy and what he wants to see out of the Buffalo Bills. So yeah, it happens in baseball a lot. A walk-off homer at the end and kind of hang around, and you could be down 3 or 4 runs, and guy walks. Next thing you know, there's a hit, and all of a sudden one pitch, and there's a home run, and you just score 3 runs. So, it happens a lot. It's very exciting. That's part of the game that people love to see, love to be at.
Right.
As like Poppy hitting a walk-off grand slam, and and it just goes over, and even the security guys jumping up and down, and things like that. So, it's a fun time when you can have your team win for you. I've been at games like that, and I've walked away from games like that. So I've been on both spectrums.
Yeah. Well, I was actually at the walk-off win in the bottom of the 10th when Roman Anthony hit that double to center field. And, I've always been joking like the last 5 years. I just want to see a walk-off from the bottom of the ninth or the bottom of the 10th. I just want to see why I haven't seen a walk-off. And so that was a lot of fun when you have a walk-off from the bottom of the 10th, bottom of the ninth or something like that, and your team pulls out a win. I mean, there's just nothing like it. The atmosphere in the park. I mean, I got my money's worth that night, that's for sure.
Yeah, I like that one. I really like the hockey. I like the overtime
Right.
when the NHL does it. I love the 3-on-3, the fast-moving action because it goes from one way to the other way, and it's just real quick. And when that goes in, obviously, that's a lot of fun as well. I don't really care for if it's a tie, it's a shootout. I don't really like that. I don't care for that too much. I'd rather just see the 3-on-3 until someone, kind of scores in that mode. I'd rather have that. But, you do it. If you're part of it and you're there watching, yeah, it's a real exciting moment. It makes the night a lot better for you, especially if your team's the one on top.
You never know what can happen in the bottom of the ninth or the bottom of the 10th. You know what I mean? I always hang in there. The Red Sox, for some reason this year, they have the propensity. Every single game is like a tie game or a one-run game. Like very rarely do I put it on, and it's like 5-1 or 8-1. It's always like 3-2, eighth inning. 2-2, eighth inning. 1-1, seventh inning. I'm like, man, these games, every single one of these games are like, come right down to the wire. It's really entertaining, I think.
It is. Yeah, and the one that gets me, Paul, is you already mentioned his name. You've been so impressed, and they've showed tons of stats of what Chapman has done for the Red Sox, and 50 consecutive this and all this and all that, and then watch him get to the playoffs, and all of a sudden it goes south.
Oh, is that right?
Well, no, because I've seen that happen.
Yeah. He's hot right now. Don't worry me. You can't keep this up.
Yes, I've seen that where the guy has this phenomenal regular season. Everybody's pumped up. They can't, don't worry about it. We got this closer. He don't give up a run. And the next thing you know, that first game in that wild card, bang, he gets whacked all over. And you go, what just happened? And so I'm not saying that's going to happen. Don't get me wrong. But I have seen situations like that occur.
Yeah, me too. And so I was looking at him and like, wow, okay, he's hot in August and September. How long can he keep that up? Yeah. He hasn't blown a game in so long. It's been like automatic, game after game after game. I'm thinking sooner or later he's going to cool off. You just can't stay that hot that long,
Yeah. And that's when it comes up in that big situation again. And next thing you know, there's just one swing ball. You can mess up one pitch, and the guy gets one ball, and the next thing you know, it's done. So that's just how it goes some days, some months for you, and everything's just falling into place. But then you have that one particular moment. So hopefully it doesn't happen for him in the Red Sox, and they continue to play strong and they get healthy. I've had an oblique strain myself when I was playing softball. I can remember playing center field, and I dove for a ball. I caught it, and as I caught it, I brought it in, and my side landed on my glove and the ball, and I kind of like strained and fractured one of my ribs, and it was really painful and really hurt. It was tough to breathe. Never mind swing and make contact. Oh, did that hurt really bad? And it took a long time for me to come back and feel that again. So I kind of get an idea of what Anthony's feeling. Of course, he's a lot younger, a lot stronger, than I was, but I kind of get an idea what that is. And a lot of people say, geez, it's got an oblique strain. What's the big deal? Like, well, let me tell you, that's not an injury you really want to have.
So you can understand why, even at the age of 21, why an oblique injury would take you out of the lineup that long.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and the other thing, too, is you really got to get it to heal just right, because you move it the wrong way, it will come right back that fast. So I'm sure the trainers are on it. They've seen it before, and they'll try to get him just the way they want him and make sure he's 100% getting back into that lineup.
All right, if you'd like to jump in here, I know we're on a little early today, but that's what we did. 508, what am I saying? 50? No, 774. I'm getting mixed up with my other gig. 774-218-3393, 774-218-3393. Talking a little bit about the Red Sox because they're on a roll, and it's really exciting to see that they look like, unless they have a complete nosedive, they'll at least be in the wild card. So that'll be exciting. As for the Patriots, man, I got to tell you, I was so bored watching this game, and then I was thinking to myself, I watch Josh Allen and I watch Lamar Jackson, and the Patriots are going to have to play these teams. I know they're playing Miami this week in Miami, so hoping they can go down there and pull that one off. They're actually the underdog even still, as far as I know. I think it was 3 points, now it's 1 point. So again, the experts seem to think that it's not easy to go down there and win, even if Miami is down for the count. But then I'm looking at some of these teams they have to play. I mean, you look at Josh Allen. I mean, Buffalo looks like a well-oiled machine, and Patriots have to play them twice. And some of these other teams are going to have to come across. I mean, if they happen to sneak in the playoffs, they're going to be facing somebody like a Baltimore or something like that. I'm thinking the way it looked to me, like, I mean, some of these teams, again, anything can happen in any game. Any adjustment can happen in any game. Just looking at it as a fan, I'm thinking, how the heck is it going to stop Buffalo? You can't stop Geno Smith, and you're gonna be facing Josh Allen twice. Right now, it looks like it's gonna be a demolition. I mean, that's just me looking at it without breaking down the X's and O's. Anything can happen, I know, but man, they just look so inept.
All right, so you tell me that you were bored with it. They looked inept. What would you like to see this week when they go to Miami to get you more excited? What do you want to see from this offense or the team or whatever that Paul Santos can sit back and say, now I really like that game?
Well, offensively, it feels to me like they need to establish the run a little bit more.
Okay, so you want to see like a big run.
Yeah, because I don't
like
think
a
the
30-yard run, a 35-yard run, something, or a run for a touchdown for 70. So you want to see an explosive play.
Yeah, because the play action is not going to work if you don't have a running game. Okay, we all know that. So we need that. I'd like to see, at some point in the game, the offense take a shot down the field. Like you get into enemy territory, maybe you toss 30 yards down the field, see if you can score a touchdown.
Right.
Defensively, you got to figure out a way to not just bleed these long passes. I mean, I understand they only give up 20 points, but you're giving up 20 points probably to an inferior offense that you're going to face against Buffalo and some of these other teams. But to just give up, I think there was a stat there. They gave up, I don't know, so many 20-yard passes or 30-yard passes. I think it was like 9 to 10 of them. And I'm like, holy crap. You know what I mean? Like, you're in a third and long. It seemed like when there was a third and long, right, the Raiders were able to convert.
So they couldn't get him off the field.
Yeah, they couldn't get him off the field. So that's huge. And then, of course, special teams is not a lot you can do. You get a young kicker. He blew a field goal. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? The kids are going to keep practicing kicking field goals. They did have one time where it was 4th down and somebody moved. And then instead of being 4th and 5, it was 4th and 10. And then they punted. And that was a controversial decision that Vrabel said, well, I don't know. I had to make a decision. That's a decision that I made. So, yeah, better special teams, better kicking game, more pressure defensively. And offensively, let's try to get the ball down the field a little bit more, I would say.
And I agree to all of that. And that's what's finding out about your team.
But it's easier said than done, isn't it?
Well, it is, but you're finding out about your team with a new regime. You've got a new coaching philosophy. You've got a new head coach. You've got a new defensive coordinator. You've got a new offensive coordinator. You're trying to put this all together, and then you're hoping in 1 week that it all comes together. I don't think it works like that. That's just how I feel. And I mean, and I'm not comparing NFL to like high school, but I look at someone like New Bedford High who just hired a new football coach. And I know that he is a winning coach in his winning years with Apponequet and some of these other teams that he coached. And they come out in game 1 and they get whacked 50-7. And everybody says, well, what's going on? Well, wait a minute. I mean, there's a guy who's only been here 1 to 2 months with a group of kids that you're trying to put together and expect to have this massive winning season or winning game in the first week. I just don't think sports works like that. I think it takes time. I think, you got to get that kind of team to gel, work with one another. I think Bobby Lomp will, continue to hopefully be successful, and his philosophy will come forward, and they'll find a way to stop winning some games, whether it's this year, next year, as he continues to grow, with his game plan. And I think that's what Vrabel and McDaniels and everybody that he has is trying to get together with everyone that they've drafted, that they picked up, and trying to work. And not saying you have like this 2 years to develop it, because they haven't had that long of a time. So I think it can still all come together and get better and better as it goes on. And then you face, obviously, different teams every week, and how to put that in perspective that, hey, this team is an elite this team's in the middle, this team's a little lower, and you find a way to get some wins out of that. You find a way to be in it at the end if you need to. And then a lot of things have to go your way, from penalties to turnovers to big plays, all that stuff that you're saying is boring that needs to come up, and the Patriots need to show it. So I'm not looking at this in 1 week and say, hey, shut down the Patriots for the year. I don't see it. I think it's going to take some time, and hopefully they will adjust.
Well, I gave you the list of things I would like to see answering your questions. And then as you were talking, I thought to myself, well, here's another thing I'd like to see. And I think you mentioned it a little bit when we first started the podcast, and that is the quarterback didn't look comfortable. Drake May did not look comfortable.
Yep.
So whether all those other things come together, defense, special teams, and mistakes and all those sort of things, one thing I would just like to see is May look comfortable. He didn't look comfortable at all. He looked more comfortable last year. Now, again, it's a different system, different coaching and all that. He looked uncomfortable. He looked tentative. He looked like he was trying to figure things out. I look at some of these other young quarterbacks. Now, some of them have had more time under their belt, but J.J. McCarthy looked comfortable. Michael Penix looked comfortable. Bo Nix looked comfortable. Win, lose, or draw, they were slinging the ball down the field. I'd like to see more sustained drives. I mean, we saw it in the second quarter that looked pretty good, But just like these sustained drives where he looks like he's in control and he's a leader out there and he's going through his progressions and, he's kind of, figuring out the offense. Now, again, 1 week, you're right. We're being.
But what does that start with, Paul? All the three guys that you said, that starts with an offensive line that you can trust.
Right.
That's an offensive line that's there for you to protect you.
But the line did pretty good, didn't it? I thought it did pretty good.
Yeah, I thought there were times that, there were times yes, and there were other times no. And the ones that were yes, they are. And I said to you, when it started to move a little bit and he started to get uncomfortable, he was looking to flush right away. He's got to trust that this team can hold up and the other people will not get to him. And I think sometimes the quarterback has that clock in its head. Oh, it's time to go and get out of here. And sometimes you have to stay a little bit longer. So I'm curious to see how they develop game 2, game 3, to see what this offensive line they build off of and get better with. So, I thought there was some good parts, but yet I thought there were some sluggish parts.
Right. Well, I know Campbell got burned a couple of times there. He moved when he wasn't supposed to. It hurt him. And then one time he really blew his block, and Drake May just got sacked, and but he had other stretches where he did well. But the thing that concerned me, and I was water under the bridge, I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, if the Patriots hadn't lost that last game last year, we would have had the number 1 pick, and we would. I mean, this was a number 1 pick. Your number 1 pick supposed to be like, there should be John Hanna on the offensive line, right? This is your number 4 pick, right? So we got a guy that's like, in another season, they might have got him in the second round or something, and he's first round pick. I mean, we could have got that. There was 2 or 3 other players that are way better than him, but we couldn't get him because we were 4th instead of 1st. So, okay, that's what happened. But
so how did the number 1 pick look in his first game?
I don't know. I thought he was okay.
Tennessee.
Well, you're talking about what's the general? I can't think of his name right now.
Cam Ward.
Yeah. How did he look? Not that great.
Not good.
What about the other guy? What about the guy there was like a defensive back that everybody wanted? What did he go, second? Can't remember now.
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, Travis Hunter. How did he do?
Yeah, so he made a couple of catches and he played both ways. Nothing special on the defensive part. I mean, he didn't score. He had a couple of decent catches. He had one where he was wide open and unfortunately Lawrence underthrew him and the guy made an outstanding interception. Way back over his head. Because if that gets over him, Hunter's got it, and he maybe could have scored. So, you look at it from that point of view.
Hey, by the way, speaking of great catches, you see the one that DeAndre Hopkins made? Isn't that the guy that we had it? We became a free agent. It's like, hey, the Patriots are kind of talking to him. Nah, we don't want him. What do we don't need him? What do we want him for? The greatest coach of all time. Yeah, I don't want him. No. I mean, the guy, catch the guy. We haven't got anybody that can make a catch like that.
Well, you have Diggs, and I think Diggs can make catches like that.
Yeah, and I think he's grumpy because he didn't want to say it, but I think he wants the ball more.
Well, you know what? He probably does, and I think that
I want the ball.
McDaniels is going to have to find a way to get him more involved in the offense and stretch it out and get him going downfield and use him because he's such a good target. We saw how well he was at Buffalo. We saw how well he was in Houston, and let's see how New England's going to use him. And it's one of your veteran leaders that you really want to take off and lead your team. So this is a guy they put some pride in. I know he was injured.
I was going to say he's coming back from injury, so we don't know if he's going to be the same player.
I got you. I mean, I don't know how healthy the legs are, but hopefully he'll be better and he'll get better in weeks 2 and 3.
I'm watching the Dallas Cowboys, and so I'm watching the game, and there are a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans around. In fact, Ryan from Rochester is one, and of course yourself, and there are a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans around, because they were on TV when you were growing up and so on and so forth. But anyway, so I'm watching them, and I'm like, you see Jerry Jones there, just kind of shaking his head, and you have the same old thing with the quarterback, and they give him a good fight in the first half. I'm like, hey, they're giving him a good fight. That's a good team they're playing and everything else, right? But again, do you really think they're a Super Bowl threat? I don't think so.
Well, I thought, and to tell you the truth, I thought Dak had a very good game. And you know me, I'm a guy that is really on top of Dak. When I think he's playing bad and
I know you do.
The it factor, I will let you know.
Yes,
but
you do.
I actually thought he played a good game. I thought Lamb was awful. It was a guy that had 5 balls that I can picture in my head that he dropped that had to go first downs to extend plays and drives. He missed some chances to get some touchdowns. And so that was a guy that I thought was really, really bad for us in that second half. And that's a guy that we have to lean on if we have any chance of beating teams like Philly in the NFC. So, it was a little disheartening on that part. Second half, I thought we got a little bit better defensively, which was nice to see, even without Parsons, now that we got rid of him. But, we got some other guys that went. We got Clowney coming in today to take a look to see if we want to put him on the roster. So, we're trying to do some things to shape up that defense a little bit. We got the guy from Green Bay. He didn't look bad in the front, in the middle, stop some runs and get some pressure on. So I thought it was one of Dak's better games, but I thought Lamb kind of let us down.
Well, here's a question I wanted to ask you, and let me know because I know you're going to leave a few minutes early, but I do want to ask you a question. I don't know if I asked you this last year, but what do you think about the tush push? Because I'm watching the game, right? And I got no dog in this fight. I'm not trying to hurt Philadelphia, but I'm watching the game, and every time there's a 4th and 1, it's like an automatic first down because they just get into this strange thing where you just, there's no way you can really stop it. They tried to stop it. They pile everybody up, and it's really unstoppable. Now, the Philadelphia fan would say, well, too bad for you. We came up with a play that works. Fine. Okay. But, 20 years ago, you couldn't do that. You couldn't push the other guy. So that's a rule that's only been around last couple of decades. You couldn't do it in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, right? So I'm looking at the game. It doesn't feel like football to me. It feels like something else. Like you got a 4th and 1, and now all the other teams have to figure out, you're going to hand it off, you're going to do a quarterback sneak, this, and then they just go into the tush push. They push everybody over like a rugby game, and it's a first down. It doesn't feel like football to me. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not trying to hurt Philadelphia or anything like that, but I'm curious, as somebody who's, he loves the game, coached the game, what does Chris Santos think about the tush push?
So, they put it into play, and it's working, and it's done. I don't like the advancement of another player helping another player get the first down.
Right.
I think it's if Hurts gets the ball and they end up putting 2 running backs, 3 running backs, but yet Hurts is still behind all of those guys and he gets it, that's fine.
Well, Brady used to do it. Brady used to do the quarterbacks. Nobody pushed them.
When another guy helps another guy to give him that extra, should I say it's illegal? Whatever. They'll allow it. I don't care for it personally. I don't think it should.
So if you had a vote, you would have voted to take it away and return to the old rule?
I would.
Okay, all right, good.
I don't like that you are getting assisted to get the first down. I think you should be able to have to do that on your own. Well, what's to say the guy can't just pick them up and throw them over the top?
Just as a fan, having all those guys get behind you, and then everybody just pushes the guy over, and of course the other side doesn't know what the count's going to be. So really, it's like, I don't know. To me, it just doesn't feel like a football play. Where other teams
I don't like the assistant part. The assistant
right,
is the part that I don't like because it's a football play. I have no problem saying that it's a football play.
Right.
I just don't like the person being assisted to get that yardage.
Well, when everybody pushes the guy over, to me, it doesn't feel like a football play. And then Josh Allen tries to do it; it doesn't seem to work as well. But then one of the times he leaped right over everybody. Oh, good for him! He took the ball, he leaped over
Correct.
the defensive line. That was a little bit different. So I don't know. There's something about it that, again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care. It's the NFC, and I don't have anything for Philadelphia or against Philadelphia. But it just feels not right to me that it just something awkward about it that I don't care for. Anyway. All right. Well, you got open house today, huh?
I have open house here at my school. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm in my office right now. So
you got a good signal.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So I'm gonna head out of here. I'm gonna
all right
head over to the front office and get my position and get ready to greet some parents and welcome them to Noman Middle School here in New Bedford, and looking forward to it. So I appreciate everybody watching this, and I hope you enjoyed our show today.
All right. We've had a lot of fun. I texted Chris. I said, I got to do a show this week because I need the therapy. I got to talk to somebody about this. I want to know what
you got to fence when you lose.
And I want to know what Chris thinks about this, being our X's and O's guy. Hey, thanks to Scotty's Pub, Citywide Glass, Lakeville Athletic Club, and attorney John Seed for sponsoring Santos on Sports. All right. So if they win this week, right, we had a win in the first game, a loss in the second game. If they win the second game, our prediction is back on track.
We're right back where we want to be.
Right back where we started. All right. For Chris Santos, I'm Paul Santos of Santos on Sports. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you again real soon.